Hello everyone and welcome to Club Preview here on Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. It will be myself, Scott Gemmell, that's hosting tonight, where this evening we'll discuss a wee bit of Rangers news, a reaction to today's press conference, and finally we'll round up with a wee preview of the St Johnstone game tomorrow lunchtime. So let's go through and introduce the full house again. First of all, Scott Carney, how's it going, mate?
Good, mate. Rangers are nearly back. We're very, very close to seeing Rangers again. But yes, looking forward to it. I'm just at the end of my week off, but what a way to finish it off by seeing the famous back in action tomorrow. But yeah, cheers, mate.
Yep, and Ali Pearson.
How we doing, Scotia? I said to the boys off camera, put a retro top on you for tonight because I know you like a retro top. So this is the only one I could fit into going down the line. So the NTL one. So aye, that's in your honour, Scotia.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you for that. Yeah, it was my first day back at work today, so eased into it on a Friday, which was quite good. And also got Jamie Lowe. How's it going, Jamie?
I'm good, Scotia, mate. How's things? How you feeling about hosting?
Yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully it all goes well. We'll get to the press conference bit and then we'll mess up like I did the last time I done the press conference. And finally, Ryan Haymarsh is joining us once again. How's it going, Ryan?
Not bad, Scotia. Good to see you all. National week is over and looking forward to seeing Rangers tomorrow as well.
Yeah, how was Biffy? I know you were at the Biffy Clydegard in the Green yesterday.
Brilliant. I think it was just great to be back in a gig again. I probably would have went and seen Spice Girls if I'm being honest with you. I was that desperate to go to a gig. But I was very good.
There's nothing wrong with it about the Spice Girls, mate. I grew up on the Spice Girls. It was part of my life growing up, mate. But I am a wee bit jealous that you've been to the Biffy gig, mate. I'm not going to lie.
I could hear it from my flat last night. It's pure blaring. Had the windows open, you could hear it.
There's no chance you like Biffy Clyro, Ali, before we even carry on. No chance.
Are they the ones that sang Run? They sing Run. No, that's Snow Patrol, isn't it? Aye.
Scotia,
just ignore that then.
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah, a long time since I've seen Biffy live, but yeah, glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, so it's been a while since Rangers have played after that fantastic victory against Celtic in the Old Firm on the 29th of August. Obviously, it was interrupted by the international break, which I know is not everyone's cup of tea. Rangers had 9 players of the first team squad and playing full international men's football, representing 8 countries. I know there was an awful lot of the younger guys representing the under-21s teams. So, Ryan, I don't really know this, but how do you feel about international football? And are you just glad that the Rangers are back tomorrow?
I don't want to be too down, but I was very disinterested in international football. I'm just kind of where I just want our players to come back fit. If they're happy playing for their countries, then I'm happy for them, but I tend not to watch it. I watch the major tournaments like the World Cup and European Championships, but my outlook really is like your kids. If your kids leave and go outside and play, you just want them to come back safely, and that's where I look at Rangers players. So it doesn't overly interest me. I'm just glad that Rangers are back tomorrow.
Yeah. So Jamie, I mean, I think that's most people's big concerns is that people pick up injuries or knocks. And obviously, the big one from the international break there's Hadji picking up COVID. Now, obviously, we're living in a period of time where this is likely to happen. How do you feel about our players going away to play in international games?
The risk is obviously heightened. I think very similarly. I will watch the internationals. I'm not obviously as invested as watching Rangers, but you've got a vested interest simply to see how the players fare. Obviously means quite a lot of them to go and represent their countries, so it means a lot to them. But as Ryan says, from an injury perspective, even before COVID, it was always you always had a nervousness of them travelling and potentially picking up an injury. But in this case, for Hadji to have tested positive for COVID, it really is a blow. I think not necessarily for Saturday, because I don't know necessarily that it would have started, but I think if it rules him out of next Thursday, I think that's going to be a massive blow, sadly.
Yeah, we'll get on to the kind of comments that Gerard made about that in his press conference a bit later on. Carney, to you, obviously the injury is a concern, but on the flip side is the ability for players to come to Rangers and play international football makes us, quite a good club to come to in that respect. And would you go along with that?
100%, mate, because I think no matter how much, and it's not that I don't agree with international football in like that, in the middle of a pandemic, maybe I don't agree with it as much, but players travelling all over the world, etc. But it's just not my bag, international football. I can completely respect players wanting to represent their country. I don't see the problem with it. I think they should, and it's part of their dreams growing up as a football player. In terms of Rangers being a good place, it is, mate, because we're a route into European football as well. We can kind of broaden the horizon of a player for a lot more people to witness them playing football at a kind of high level. Obviously, it's Europa League again this year, but obviously we're hoping to get into the Champions League next year as well, which only helps attract players because, as you say, they're going to be playing on a higher stage. If they can do it on that higher stage, then it opens the doorway for them to represent their country.
Yep. No, yeah, I agreed. Yep. And Ali, just as probably round up the kind of international stuff there, Kemar Roofe made his debut for Jamaica. Now, do you have the same fears that we had with Scott Arfield when he went to play with Canada all those times? Now that Roofe's playing international football, but it's the other hemisphere that he's playing in.
Yeah, well, Scott Arfield, I wouldn't say was as injury prone as Kemar Roofe. Kemar Roofe's the one guy we talked about during the week in terms of, are we light up front? And I did say Kemar Roofe, if he stays fit, will be fine. But if he doesn't, we could be light. And him going all the way to Jamaica to play these games now, it gives later on, it gives me the fear when these guys are over there in terms of what happens. I mean, I assume they get humped 3-0 off of, I don't know who it was, to be honest, but they got humped 3-0.
Panama, I think.
And
Panama.
Is that who it was? Panama. But fair play. I mean, I think it's his dad's nationality, Jamaica, so he wants to represent in terms of his dad. So, I mean, like Carney, I mean, it doesn't float my boat in international football, like you all know, but just because it doesn't float my boat doesn't mean that players like Hagi and Hagi's an icon in Romania should go to represent their countries, because all these guys want to. So, but it does give me the fear in terms of injuries, and obviously he'll come on to Gerard in terms of the injury for the weekend, but it gives me the fear with Kemar Roofe in particular.
Yeah, no, I mean, delighted for him that he's playing international football. But yeah, I've got those same fears as well. But I mean, well, that's all do is for the international stuff. I'm happy Scotland get a massive result on Tuesday night there. So yeah, that's me pleased until I think October the 9th is the kind of next international break. So not too long away, unfortunately, if international football's not your bag.
Is it that early? Sorry, yeah. Scott, is it that early?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, man. Right, okay.
And then we've got another wee one in November as well. So
of course, what's this for? The League of like Chariot Cup or Cheerios or something? I don't know what's it was for. No, still for the World Cup?
Yeah, FIFA just put certain dates. You've got like September, October, November, March, and then usually June and July. But obviously last year we kind of skipped it because a lot of stuff was curtailed because of COVID. So we didn't really have all these wee breaks. So now that we're back to semi-normality, everyone's got that to look forward to.
Whoopee!
Yeah, so we'll start. I think first of all, in terms of Rangers news, we'll start on a positive. I think in this Tuesday afternoon, Rangers released Relentless 55, the inside story. It was £5 a pop. I know there was quite a lot of grumblings about that price and people not happy that it wasn't something that was given to particularly season ticket holders for free. But Carney, I'll come to you first. I think you were probably one of the first of us to actually watch it. What did you make of it, and were you happy enough with the price?
Well, yeah, of course I was one of the first ones to watch it because I'm staunch, mate, that's why. Look, it's a £5, mate, do you know what I mean? I can get why people have a wee bit of grumblings around it. At the end of the day, the club have put money into producing something like this for us, so I suppose there was always going to be a cost. I think the £5 for it's like over a year. I think you can watch it. So I think they should probably release some sort of form of hard copy for it, like a presentation pack, even if you like, because they would sell that as well. It is what it is. In terms of the the actual movie itself, or the whatever you want to call it, documentary, it was tremendous, absolutely brilliant. I had a tear in my eye quite close to the end as well. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Just to, it's players like, you hear players like Steve Davis talking, and more than just a standard TV interview, if you like, you actually almost get a wee bit of insight to these players and what it means to them. And hearing Alfredo Morelos saying "proud" was a particular highlight. It's a fantastic thing for the club to do, and it's really good. There's only one disappointment for me, was we were teased. I don't know if you remember, lads, back when Celtic drew 1 each with Dundee United, or was it 0-0? I can't remember. Dundee United that day, and we won the league. And the inside Ibrox, or inside the training park, was meant to have. We were teased with it on Twitter anyway by the media team, and we didn't see a great deal from inside the training centre. Obviously, the bit where Gerrard gets a wee bit choked up and emotional, that's inside the training centre, and that's the bit that sent me as if I was sniffing onions. Anyway, put it that way, it got me a bit choked up, but I really wanted to see everybody going absolutely mental inside the training centre at that time. But look, it's a small gripe to have with it. I think the Rangers media team deserve great credit for it, and it's something I'll watch. I have already watched it 3 times, I think, now. So, yeah, I mean, it's. I'm glad they've done it. As I say, it's something that will hopefully release a hard copy, and we hold on to that for forever.
Yeah, I remember Amazon Prime Kenny putting out wee tweets and stuff at times, and then I'm fairly disappointed that hasn't come yet. But here's hoping something comes along in the future. Ali, you must have hundreds and hundreds of old Rangers videos from the 90s. You've now sat down and watched it. How did you enjoy this one?
I thought it was brilliant. I don't know why folk are having a bump and groan about $4.99 for something you can keep for a year. I mean, at the end of the day, Rangers are a business, and as Carney says, they've had to put a bit of production into that, and it was really good. It reminded me of the kind of Amazon ones I've seen, the Leeds one, the Tottenham one. It was along the kind of same lines in terms of behind the scenes. You've seen a lot of stuff, but for £5, I thought it was a bargain. I would have paid a tenner for it. I mean, you go into Sky Store to rent a movie, it's 10, 12 quid, and you download it on your telly. So I thought it was value for money. I'll watch it again. There's bits here that I didn't like. Tav and Goldson, I never realised played with each other at Shrewsbury. I never knew they played together before. I knew Kamara and Aribo had known each other at a younger age, but in terms of they two, I never knew they'd played together before. So that was good to know about that, because they're really friendly on and off the park. So I thought it was brilliant. And like Carney, I'll no doubt be watching it near enough every week, to be honest, for the whole year. So I'll get my money's worth, don't you worry.
Yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you've managed to see it yet. Hey, have you?
Yes, I've watched it. Obviously, I think we're all waiting for this. We got teased with the Inside 55 thing, and when the club just went silent with that, I knew there was something coming. But I thought it was fantastic. I thought the kind of editing and stuff was very professional, really well done. The Rangers media team they're class compared to what they used to be. I could have watched probably an hour and a half of Morelos with subtitles though, easily. I was just like, at times I wasn't even reading what he was saying, I was just looking at his face. It was brilliant. Got a bit tearful. I'm quite an emotional guy anyway, but I got quite a bit tearful at a few things that I said, and just like I think we spoke about it in a previous pod, even that was a goal for me that I knew we were going to win the league, and it was great to see that Carney stole my thunder. I think we get robbed a wee bit with the celebrations inside Auchenhowie. It seemed to just jump to the players outside Auchenhowie with the signings. And I thought, hold on a minute, what have I missed here? Like, I think they could have shown us that. I want to see the players going berserk, and I want to see McGregor throwing people about, and overall, it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I'll watch it again, no doubt.
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm Jamie, as Ryan says there, as it gets to kind of where we secure the title, that's really where it hit me. And yeah, you get all emotional and you get really excited watching that. We also get some good insight from Davey Edgar and Martin Ramsey from Heart and Hand. What did you make of the whole video, the production of it?
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice touch. I mean, it's such an important season that success to deliver in 55, it meant everything to us. But I think it was really nice for the club to give us something back. Yeah, £5, fair enough. There was an added cost there, but in a season that unlike any other, where we weren't able to get into the ground and see the team for ourselves, we've just sat at home watching the team on TV for the full year, having paid for a season ticket. So I think it was a really nice touch for the club to put something like that together and to give us a bit of an insight. It wasn't just a matter of watching some of the games back, some of the kind of highlights. There was proper insight, like you've said and like you've covered. I loved hearing from Stephen Davis in particular. I thought it was interesting when he was even talking about at the very beginning, kind of in between last 2 seasons ago and last season, where there was a kind of longer preparation period through COVID, and he was unsure about his recovery and how his body was going to react. I just love listening to Steve Davis. I think he speaks really well, and it was a really honest insight. But yeah, a really well balanced, well produced video, good insight from obviously people about the club, players, fans. I think the other thing as well is we obviously had been teased whether it's you're looking for certain content, but see even the date, if you think about it and when it's been released, it's the week before Flag Day. So it's just going to get us even more emotional before a week on Sunday when we see that flag unfurl. So well played, Mr. Rangers.
I keep forgetting it's Flag Day in 2 weeks' time, or a week's time, really. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Yeah, no, I can't recommend it enough. The £5 paying for it, it's nothing. I was a wee bit worried. I thought I'd seen somewhere that you would only have it available to view for 2 weeks or something. But if what you say there, Carney, it's for a year. I suppose that's the problem you've got with digital media, that it's you don't have that hard copy that's there and yours forever. So as you say, hopefully something gets brought out that they'll be able to take even more money off all of us at some point.
I do wonder if the club will see, after a year, I wonder if the club will maybe sell it to Amazon or Netflix or something. A lot of these football documentaries are on Netflix. I want the world to see that, you know what I mean? So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea after a year, once everybody's seen it, to maybe sell the rights on to something like that.
Yeah, no, that would be a good.
That's what I was meaning as well, though, is you paid the £5 now, and if they do release one, every single one of us is going to buy it. Do you know what I mean? I will buy it. I'll keep it forever. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it could be a clever kind of marketing thing from the club. But as I say, I think hopefully it gets on streaming sites and all that as well. But yeah, don't be surprised if there's a DVD coming.
Yeah, no. So as we say, if you've not watched it or you've not bought it already, go and do it, because all 5 of us can't recommend it highly enough. So we'll move on to some slightly more negative news, and that kind of came out yesterday evening on Thursday, that it looks very likely that the vaccine passports to attend large-scale events, which is basically anything with a capacity over 10,000 people, from the 1st of October. Now, obviously, this is going to immediately impact us for the game against Hibs on the 3rd. It's been met with a bit of resistance in a lot of quarters. Jamie, I'll come at you. And this one, what are your thoughts for this? Are you against it? Are you for it? Are you indifferent? How do you feel?
I don't really know what to think about it just yet, to be honest. In a sense, I can understand if I suppose from a personal point of view, I've been impacted by COVID. My family's been impacted by COVID. It's a horrible thing. But this, I don't know. I really don't know how this is going to work in practical terms, as well as, I don't know. I think the vaccine, whilst there's obviously evidence to suggest it's going to support with the prevention of spreading COVID. It's obviously a choice if you want to be vaccinated. So for those, I think there's a couple of examples. The other boys here that know people who have not taken the vaccine that have got season tickets, or they've got tickets for gigs or whatever. It does feel like a bit of a punishment to them, that, as well as, see, even just something as simple as the QR codes to get into Ibrox, and the mess that was, and we're going to add a further code, whether that's in paper form or on your phone. I don't know. I really don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I don't feel good about it, put it that way. But I can understand from a numbers point of view, if you're looking to try and reduce those, something needs to be done. But I don't know that this is the answer.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Ryan, I know that nothing's been set in stone yet, and I know the fan group, there's a Scottish supporters fans group was kind of wanting to go down the line of having random people picked out of the crowd to test them, but perhaps rather than using these vaccine passports, do you not think it would maybe make a wee bit more sense if you would just be able to show that you were, done a lateral flow test and tested negative before entry? Because as Jamie says, it's harsh on these people that haven't opted for the vaccine at this point.
Yeah, I think the practicality of that's what the question is. It's another one of these things we covered in the previous pod about. It does seem a great idea on paper, and it's all about reducing the numbers and transmissions. But are they asking every single fan to show this at the turnstiles before they go into the stadium, or is someone up the queue checking everybody's passports? I went to that gig last night, and everyone had to have a negative test 40 hours prior to the gig, and nobody was looking at it. You were just walking through and straight in, and I feel as if that's what it will be like, because can you imagine Ibrox when one turnstile's not working, or there's a bit of a queue and people are desperate to get in, and it's just not practical. And I think it'll look good on a bit of paper, right? People need vaccine passports, but the practicality, it's not there for me. I don't see it being sustainable going forward.
Yeah, no, it's a very difficult one for them to deal with. I'm in a situation, I'm okay, I've got my double vaccination, but I know we're probably going to need a booster at some point. And at what point does that mean that your 2 vaccinations you've had so far, if you've taken them, at what point do they become invalid? No one's answered that question, I don't think, if we're going to need these second ones. Ali, come to you. We know someone that this is going to definitely impact, because even if you've not had your first dose yet, you'll be waiting until after Christmas probably before you've got your second dose. So what are your thoughts? And do you feel sorry for the person in question?
Dixie, well, I texted him last night to say that's you gubbed for Ibrox now, but at least you can go to the pub and watch it. So, but his response to me was they might be doing spot checks. Similar to Ryan. On paper, it sounds good, but the practicality of it is never going to work. 50,000 people, and what's the point of doing spot checks? I don't understand that. I mean, I downloaded my vaccine passport last night. You could easily edit that, change my name and put somebody else's name on it, no doubt, and just show that. Are the guys in the door really going to look at that properly? Or I just, the logistics of it, can't see it working. But I feel sorry for folk like Dixie that he's not had 2 vaccines. That's his choice, and he's basically been punished. He's paid his money to go see Rangers, and potentially he might not be able to see Rangers till, like you said, maybe after Christmas, unless he gets his vaccines. And yeah, is it morally right to? I know. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get. It's mainly the younger ones who haven't been vaccinated, i.e., if they want to go to nightclubs, etc., go to football, they're kind of bullying them in to get vaccines. So. Yeah, it's a difficult one, but the logistics of it, I really can't see working. I know you said about lateral flow tests. I could do 2 lateral flow tests and both be negative and give one to my pal. He can just use that. I mean, Ryan used the example last night, going to a Biffy concert, nobody was looking at it. I could just imagine the same thing at Ibrox. I just think the logistics, it won't work. And they'll need to come up with something, because it's only 2-3 weeks around the corner before this all happens and it kicks in. And Aye, I'm not looking forward to queuing at Ibrox for that day. That'll be something to be seen.
Yeah, it'll be worse than it usually is. I mean, and on my personal point, it doesn't really affect me because I've had both my doses. But I would be absolutely fuming if this came in before everyone had been offered the chance to take both their vaccines. It's a bit slightly different if you've opted not to. But yeah, I'm not overly pleased with it at the moment. I'll need to read into it in a bit more detail. Carney, your thoughts on this? But also, there's 3 grounds within the within the Premiership that have got capacities less than 10,000. That's Livy, St Mirren's, and Ross Counties. Do you think they'll circumnavigate that, or do you think they'll get on board and it'll be like a blanket thing across the Premiership grounds?
No, I don't see them doing that at all, mate. They're not going to turn away. Once they kind of start opening things back up to the away ends as they usually do, I don't think there's any chance in hell, mate, of them saying that you're going to have a COVID passport to get in. They'll just carry on as normal. I would fully imagine. Again, without being too political and all that and conspiracies and whatever else around COVID, I don't think it's right. I think it's, and this is coming from somebody that's had 2 vaccinations. I don't think this is correct. I don't agree with it. I feel really bad. I didn't even know if you were going to name Dixie, but obviously Ali's called him out on the pod. So
they'll be fine with it.
If I was him, I would be contacting the SNP and saying, so you're going to pay for my ticket then? Because I renewed my season ticket under the rules as they were at that time, and you've went and changed them halfway through. So where do you stand with that? I feel really sorry for these people. I don't think it's correct at all. It's your right to pick whether you're going to have a COVID jab or not. That's completely your choice. And as Ali, you've said it exactly. It's dictatorship bullying, mate. That's exactly what it is, and trying to get people to get vaccinated. Again, agree with it or not, it's still people's choice. I know COVID is obviously a thing. It's affected a lot of people. People have died from it. Yes, I completely understand that. I got it because if I ever get it, I don't want to feel the full effects of COVID, put it that way, and the vaccine's the best possible way for me not to. But I also knew in the back of my mind that this day was going to come, that I would have to show two jabs in order to get into Ibrox. So that was my choice for doing it, but I still, no matter, even though one of my reasons was to do this because I knew they were going to bring it in, I still doesn't make me agree with it. I think it's wrong.
Yep. Okay, well, I think we'll finish up the news unless anyone's got anything else to add by finishing with the Euro squad announcement that got released last week. I think the main things to take out of this is that Ryan Jack's been included in the squad, and Jack Simpson has dropped out the squad. Now, it's not a like-for-like replacement. It's not a switch between them two. I'm fairly certain that Sakala's inclusion in the squad has meant that Simpson has had to drop out due to the rules that UEFA put in place. Ali, come to you. How are you feeling about the fact that Jack's in the squad and the squad in general?
Yeah, it's good. He did. I know you'll come on to presser, but he did mention Jack's back in training and stuff. So that's good news. Now going forward, he'll be a massive boost if we can get him back in the next few weeks or whatever it is. Jack Simpson dropping out. Does he surprise me? We've got Balogun, Goldson, Hollander. Big Shirley can play there as well as cover, so he can play there. So we don't really need Simpson, so we might as well bring Sakala in, a bit of firepower. So I'm quite happy with it. Bakuna's in there as well, who we've yet to see too. So yeah, I think it's a good squad, and I'm happy with the squad.
Yep, no, I'm fairly happy with it as well. Ryan, your thoughts on the Euro squad?
Yeah, same as Ali. I'm not surprised that Simpson dropping out. I don't imagine he's using like 4 defenders the way we kind of rotate. I don't imagine he's doing that in the group stages, unless there's an injury or suspension. With Mullen got the defensive positions covered. Bakuna, obviously I've not seen him yet, but he's an attacking midfielder, isn't he? So hopefully he can hit a shot from outside the box. But I'm glad to see him in the squad. And Ryan Jack speaks for himself. I'm pretty desperate to see him playing again, because I'll be honest, when he wasn't ready at the beginning of the season, I was fearing that we were going to get the news that he wasn't coming back. So having him in the squad is great, and I think Stephen Davis will be glad that he's coming back as well, just to kind of get a bit of respite in the midfield.
Yeah. On Ryan's point there, Jamie, the fact we've only got 3 centre halves in the team. Now, if we do pick up, in particular, suspensions, because your centre backs are probably your most susceptible players to pick up bookings, do you think it would maybe potentially a wee bit light in the centre backs slot then, if that does happen?
Not necessarily. I think it's a good point Ali made about Bassey being able to cover at centre half. I think push come to shove, there's a few players that could fill in there. So now I'm comfortable with the kind of the depth that we've got in defence in general. I dare say that I'm going to have the fear actually saying this out loud, but you could probably stick Tav in there as well if you really needed him to do a job.
Oh,
jeez, Jamie, what are you talking about, man?
You
if you've got suspensions and you've not got a centre half to play, who else are you going to play there?
Alfred.
Yeah, right. To be fair, but
nah. But back to the point though, as we've got plenty of cover. I think Bassey's the next one to come in there, but between Goldson, Balogun, and Highlander, I'm pretty comfortable with that rotation. Let's be honest, it's Goldson and another, isn't it?
Okay, Scott. Any other thoughts on the Euro squad?
No, I'm quite happy enough with it. It's kind of what I expected, to be honest. I think obviously the Ryan Jack one's raised a few eyebrows. Obviously, I'm desperate to see him as much as everybody else is. As I say, I think it's encouraging to see that he's in the team. Whether we actually see him or not, we don't know. We don't know. We will need to wait and see. But I mean, the squad is what it is. As I say, Simpson dropping out, I'm not a massive shock. And as you said, I don't actually think it is Ryan Jack that's replaced him. It looks like it's the inclusion of Sakala that's probably caused that to happen. But yeah, I mean, the team is what it is. I don't think Jack Simpson's anywhere near the running really for getting any sort of serious game time. Maybe this season he might get a wee run out in some of the cup games if we're drawn against low league opposition. But yeah, I'm happy enough with the squad, and it's good to see Ryan Jack's name there.
Yep, it is indeed. So unless anyone's got anything else in news, I think we can just move on to the press conference. Happy with that?
Go for it, mate. Yep.
Okay, doke. So it was a late press conference today, and first out was Steven Gerrard. So obviously he asked the obligatory question about squad news and injuries and whatnot. And Hadji was obviously the first one he mentioned. Obviously him picking up COVID means he's out for the weekend. It's looking very likely that he'll be out for the Lyon game, and we're not entirely sure yet, but he may even be out for the following week as well, depending on the rules around that. He did mention that Ryan Jack was needing fitness, so to me that sounds like he might be in the squad, the starting 18 for the game against Lyon next Thursday potentially, if not, hopefully, the game at the weekend. And then again, Othelborough, probably about a week before we know anything further for that. He then went on to speak about some of the deadline day business and the business across the transfer window as a whole. And he was just really happy that we've managed to keep all our players, the key players that he wanted. And what he did mention is that no offers came in either this window or previous windows that have met our own valuation. His personally, the board's, in terms of letting the player go. So that was good to hear. Also asked about the game against St Johnstone tomorrow, and yeah, very, very political, saying that Davidson's a top coach, and we're going to have to be at our best to get a result. But we've came to expect that with Gerrard. He's not going to turn around and say it'll be a doddle. He did mention that Patterson was the only bid that he was aware of that we actually received across the transfer window, although he's not entirely sure. Something could have come in that get back straight out the park for your likes of Morelos and not Hadji Kamara before getting sent down to him to kind of approve it. So it was only Patterson that came in, and again he seemed almost a bit offended by the level of bid that had come in for Patterson. He also talked about his own frustration and missing out on the games due to having to isolate himself due to the COVID situation we had. But he was very pleased with Michael and Gary, them coming in to do the job. And then finally, in Gerard's one, he rounded up with sort of 3 questions that we all discussed on the Q&A pod on Monday night. And thank you everyone for getting involved in that. We really enjoyed doing that. But it was about Robbie McCrory always being in their plans. You know, there's a clear path for him, clear future. Talked about a lot of the B team players that are knocking at the door, and in particular Stephen Kelly. He felt that it wasn't right for him to go out on loan. I know we discussed that on Monday night, but he feels that the best thing for Kelly at the moment is to stay and kind of fight for his place, because he seems to be the one that's nearest, although obviously the midfield is quite a tough place to get into at the moment. And then again, he talked about Patterson in terms of going out on loan wasn't an option really. He's getting enough training out of training with your likes of Kent, your Roofs, your Rebos, your Morelos is challenging him every day. So yeah, all in all from Gerard, it was fairly good. Quickly got on to Roof. He was the player that was involved today, and it was the kind of players you would expect, type of questions you would expect asked of a player. You know, and it was again just going to say it was going to be a very difficult match tomorrow. How he's been dealing with COVID, and he accepts that everyone has to pretty much just deal with it. He's quite happy that we're playing Thursday, Sunday, but always like to rather play than train, which, you know, players always say. And then the big one, he said that he's really, really proud, obviously, that they called up to the Jamaica squad, and obviously I think his dad's was born in Jamaica, so it was a proud moment for him, and it was something a bit different. He'd said certainly getting beat 3-0 must be something a bit different rather when you're not playing for Rangers. So Ali, we'll just go around the tables here. Ali, what did you make of the press conference?
Yeah, same as pretty much every press conference. The Kamara Roof one's the usual, to be honest. But in terms of Gerard, I was interested in terms of who was available for tomorrow. And it's a clean bill of health, pretty much, apart from Hadji said. So, yeah, that was good. I did have one wee curveball for my team tomorrow, but when he mentioned the guy I thought may start, I'm not putting him in my team anymore, so he's come out of my team, but I'll tell you that later on. But, no, I thought he was pretty positive, Gerard. He was up for it. Discussed St Johnstone as well. They've obviously lost 2 players in the transfer window. They're 2 most important players. They've not started overly great, St Johnstone. So, no, I thought he seemed quite positive, Gerard. He's been stuck in the house probably for 10 days, so he's probably raring to go as well. But I thought it was a positive press conference, and I think they're all raring to go. I'm raring to go as well, because I've been waiting 2 weeks for this.
Yeah, I nearly didn't watch Kemar Roof's press conference because I tend only to watch Gerard's, but I thought, seeing as I was hosting today, I better do that. Carney, did you take anything away from that different to Ali?
No, very much the same. First thing off, I think when you watch the video back on YouTube, the first voice that you hear asking a question is David Edgar, which is obviously after the carry-on that's had with Heart and Hand in the Daily Record. It's brilliant to see that the club are fully backing him, and he's still obviously allowed his media access, and he's still a media partner with the club. So a massive congratulations to him and the club for that. Apart from that, obviously, it's good to hear that Hadji was asymptomatic. It doesn't look like he's had any kind of real effects of it, so hopefully he will be back soon. And obviously, the mentioning of Ryan Jack, and you'd said there, Scott, that he potentially could be back on maybe in the squad for the Leon game, which would make perfect sense because my favourite players might actually make an appearance in the Leon game and I'll not even be there. So, yeah, that sounds about right, mate, to be honest. But, I mean, in terms of everything else, in terms of Kamar Roof, I think who's the most popular player for Jamaica? Is it Leon Bailey? Is that Jamaican entity?
Antonio plays for them as well for West Ham.
Antonio. So I mean, Kamar's he's going to be playing along a couple of decent players as well, learn a wee bit from them, and it's a good thing for him to be able to. He handled himself quite well. I think he does handle himself quite well, Kamar Roof, and he's obviously absolutely buzzing the fact he's going to play with him. So, yeah, I mean, all positive, as you would expect. Obviously, Gerard, I think, kept his cards a wee bit close to his chest with the bid thing. I would be shocked if there's not been a bid for Kamara this window. I would be absolutely shocked. So I don't think he's telling the full truth there. But why would he? Do you know what I mean? Why would he? And yeah, it's good to see. As he obviously had mentioned that Kent and Morelos, they've both had bids knocked back, not this window anyway. And I think the fact that Everton have made such a little, a small offer for Nathan Patterson has kind of got up Gerrard's nose a wee bit. But all positive, and as I said, roll on tomorrow. I cannot wait for it.
Yep. Jamie, come at you. What were your thoughts on the press conferences today?
I haven't seen them. I'm going to be honest. But
busy
I thought
boy,
you rounded them up very well. I thought you rounded them up well, Scotia, so I enjoyed your roundup, mate.
It didn't seem to be as bad as the last time I done it. If anyone wants to go and see that disaster, go into the archives and dig that out. And Ryan, did you manage to catch any of the press conferences today?
Yeah, I did my homework because I'm obviously committed to the pod, unlike Jamie.
Oh, aye, teacher's pet.
Oh, gloves are off. Gloves are off.
Your time's almost up, Mr. Lowe, I think. I did. I watched it. Only two things to add was the Stephen Kelly thing. I think it's good what he said, because he maybe just thinks it's more beneficial for Kelly to be around about people like Stephen Davis and Kamara every day. He's probably had the chat with him, knowing he's not going to be playing every week or even getting an appearance minutes in his legs every week. But just being in the dressing room every week, a Champions dressing room, let's not forget that, with people like McGregor, Davis, training with guys like Glenn Kamara every day. I mean, maybe this is just the push he needs to start playing first team football for us. So I think it's maybe a good decision that he's not put him out on loan. The other thing I wanted to say after the last pod, and I'm glad that he gave Michael Beale and Gary McAllister praise for how they dealt with things, because I think Rangers as a club, how they dealt with the COVID situation was impeccable. Gary McAllister just took the questions before the Old Firm game. We didn't moan about what players were out. We just got on with it. We played with our third choice. I mean, we rubbed our faces in it after it, but nobody really moaned or said that we had a depleted squad. We didn't have our chief exec coming out in a press conference saying we're the most, nobody's been impacted by COVID more than us. You know, we just got on with it, and we got two big results, and I'm glad Gerrard kind of nailed that home today. You could tell he was proud of Beale and McAllister. It just shows the team camaraderie that we've got at Ibrox just now. But yeah, it was a positive press conference, I think.
Yep. So if no one's seen the press conference, you can either go onto the Rangers YouTube channel and get it there, or if you've got Rangers TV, they'll pop up in your wee app. Yep. So that'll do us in the press conference, and we'll swiftly move on to do a wee quick discussion about the St Johnstone game tomorrow, which takes place at McDermott Park, and it's a 12:30 kickoff live on Sky Sports Television. So before I come round to you, I'll just kind of round up a wee bit about St Johnstone. They haven't won in the league yet this season after 4 games. They've got 3 draws and a defeat. They had a great draw away to Galatasaray in the Europa Conference League, but they then kind of finally succumbed to them in the return leg towards the end of the match, when Galatasaray were just a wee bit too good for them. But they did look decent, certainly in the first half of that game that I sat down and watched that. However, having said that, Ali, you mentioned this, they've lost 2 of their best players in the captain, Kerr and McCann, and I'm fairly certain that Glenn Middleton will not be able to play for them because we're his parent club. And then also they're one of the wee loan signings from in midfield. They got McPherson from St Mirren. I think he dislocated his shoulder earlier in the week, so he doesn't look like he's playing. So that's it in terms of St Johnstone. We'll go back round the way, Ryan, and we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on the game tomorrow? And you can also, if you want, give us your expected starting 11.
Well, I think that the first thing that comes into my head is obviously you just want the result, but I think there's a scar tissue thing with us after we've had an Old Firm result, that you've got this kind of wee thought in the back of your head of, don't go and muck this up, you've done the hard work, let's just get the result tomorrow and start kind of running. It is scar tissue, because they proved that last season, but there is that wee kind of doubt in your head. We should beat them tomorrow, and I would like to see us get a few goals as well. Who's the 2 players they lost? I know the boy McCann that they lost. He's a good player, but who was the other boy? It was somebody Kerr.
He was the captain.
Defender.
Genuine
Centre half, yeah.
Centre half, is he? I liked the boy McCann, and I was kind of surprised that he went down south. However, for example, if we were at the table for him, I don't think we would have got him for that money. I think that's clear by any Scottish club that's in talks with Rangers. But yeah, I'm expecting a comfortable game tomorrow. Like if we start well, we could score a few goals. In terms of my starting lineup, I think we'll all be very similar with this. It'll be McGregor, Tav, Wilson, Hollander. I think Barisic will hold on to his place. I think it'll be Davis, Kamara, Joe Aribo. Joe Aribo's fit, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then this would probably be my front three. Would be Alfie, Kent, and Roof. I think that's attacking, and that quite excites me, to be honest. So, yeah, that's my starting lineup. And do you want a prediction for the score?
Yeah, I suppose so. It means we'll go the scores as well, because it means Ali's last, so we'll see his wee disappointed face when someone picks the same result that he's got.
I'm going to go 3-1 Rangers.
3-1 Rangers. Yep, very good. Yeah, because we've got the chance to go top of the league tomorrow. At least for 24 hours, at least until the Edinburgh derby on the Sunday. Jamie, come at you. Your thoughts on the game and your lineups and score prediction.
I'm really looking forward to it. I think, as Ryan's touched on there, it's been a long 2 weeks. Obviously, with international football, but following such a big result and a big game, a big high. So it's going to be really important for them to continue with that momentum. Obviously, had a bit of a stuttering start to the season, so it's really important we go on and build some momentum and get some a string of proper results in. I know there's been a bit of focus on St Johnstone losing a couple of players, but we just need to focus on ourselves. And I think even with the loss of Hadji, we can still field a really strong team. So I'm looking forward to the game and expecting a strong win. For my team, it's actually the exact same as Ryan's, apart from I wonder if he's going to stick with McCrory. I'm saying he's going to go McCrory. And thanks for your opinion, Ali. This is my time to talk. So I think McCrory. I think that's an interesting point about Barisic, though. As in, I know he was he'd actually played for Croatia, so I don't know if depends what condition he comes back in, whether or not he plays Barsi. But yeah, I think he's going to go McCrory. That's my only change, and I'm going to go for 2-0 Rangers with goals from Roof and Morelos.
In fact, Ryan, we didn't come at you. Do you want to give us any scorers, or are you just going for the 3-1?
Hat-trick, Alfie.
Lovely.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, Barisic, it was Wednesday night he played, and I think he put in a really, really good performance. I didn't actually watch that game, but by all accounts, he was one of the top Croatia players. Carney, come to you. What are your thoughts and give us your lineups, etc.?
In terms of what you just said about Barisic, I didn't watch it either, but from what reports I've seen, he's played a stormer on Wednesday night, so he might have found a wee bit of form, and obviously Gerrard and the coaching staff are going to be well aware of that, so I do expect him to come back in. Before I get the team, St Johnstone, they've not started well at all. Losing the 2 players at the price that they did is kind of shocking, to be honest. I say they really have kind of sold them. Not on the cheap, but as we said, if the Rangers or Celtic were in for either of them, they would have expected a lot more money, I would have thought. So yeah, and then they'll be looking to hit some run of form or to upset us, I think, is their kind of main aim. So I expect them not to really come flying at us. I think they'll try and make us make mistakes and then try and catch us, I suppose. But I mean, I expect Rangers to kick on now. As I say, I think Ryan's made a cracking point that about the scar tissue after an Old Firm. You're always just thinking to yourself, just get another 3 points after an Old Firm. You don't want the Old Firm win to become almost meaningless. I know it's not really meaningless, but in terms of the points, that tally on the table, it kind of becomes a bit meaningless in that sense. I will give credit to St Johnstone. Don't know if any of you have seen it. They made the Football Manager 2022 advert, the new trailer that's come out. So I was like, that's another highlight for them because they won the 2 cups. They were mentioned at the end of it. So I was like, fair play. I mean, that's quite a big deal, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I fully expect Rangers to win the game. My team is slightly different. Everybody's the same. I think Barisic will definitely come in. Jamie, I'd love to think he would play McCrory, but I don't think he will. I think he'll bring McGregor back in, and I'll put Rebo out wide right and drop Roof, and I think Lundstrom will play in the midfield. I know, but I'm just thinking of what Gerrard might be thinking, and I think he'll play Lundstrom, Davis and Kamara in the midfield, Kent, Morelos and Aribo at the front. And I'll go for 3-0. I'll go for Kent, Morelos and Steve Davis to score.
Excellent. Right, we'll come.
You actually noting these down, Scott? We've never noted these down before ever.
Well,
and you're actually sitting right down
I'm
the scores.
Taking a wee note.
Fair enough, mate.
Just so I don't need to read out my team in full if someone's picked the exact same team.
Right, okay, fair enough.
You need to be on tomorrow as well, Scotia.
No, we'll see. Come at you then, Pearson.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it. We hope that Old Firm is going to kickstart Rangers to go on a run now, and there's no point us going to McDermott Park and dropping points because it just. What's the point of beating Celtic? So we need to go there and win. I want a win, but I want a performance as well. In St Johnstone, they've not been great this season. I've watched the European games like yourself, Scotia. I thought they looked all right. I thought they ran out of steam and the other teams just took over and scored later in the game. I think they'll sit in again. I think we owe them one because last season we played them back-to-back. Should have beat them in the league. Gave them a last-minute goal, and again at Ibrox in the Cups. So I think that'll be in the back of Gerrard's head to go out there and not give them a doing, but we owe them one. And they've sold the 2 guys. In fact, the 2 guys they sold, their chairman actually came out an open letter which he did a statement. It was actually quite refreshing to hear. Actually, the reason he sold Ali McCann was because Ali McCann said, "I want to go." It was life-changing money, and he was stuck. He was stuck basically, do we keep a player that doesn't want to be here or do we cash in our chips? And he probably wanted to get more money, but he took the decision to cash in the chips and not have an unhappy player. So fair play for him to come out and say that. But yeah, my team for tomorrow is the exact same as Ryan's. That's my team. I did think he might start Bacuna as a wee curveball, but when he came out and says Bacuna is nearly there, I knew he'd be in a bench. So, yeah, I would play that. I know Carney's putting Lundstrom in there. I just think St Johnstone will sit deep tomorrow, so I think we need a couple of players that can unlock doors. Joe Aribo's, Kamara Roofs, etc. That's my thinking behind it, Kamara. So, yeah, that's my team, the same as Ryan's, and my prediction is 3-0. And I've got Ryan Kent, first goal scorer.
Okay. So my team is pretty much identical to Ryan and Ali's, but I've got in the back of my mind because Helander and Barisic both played on Wednesday there that they might not start, but they're both in terrific form. They've both had really good Old Firm games and both played really well for their country during the international break. So it wouldn't surprise me if Balogun and Bassey do come in there, but I'm not entirely sure. But my one change would be I would bring in Scott Wright to start instead of Roof, just because he's he'll be completely fresh, whereas Roof was obviously travelling back from Jamaica. And 3-0 for myself as well. And I will go Alfie, Wright and Aribo goal scorers. Okay, guys, that will do us here on the club preview. So thank you very much, Alistair Pearson.
Well done, Scotia. You done well. Just about finished that in 55 minutes as well. So there's a wee omen. So well done, Scotia.
Well done.
Yeah, we're going to miss it because you won't shut up.
So we've got 56.
We're nearly at 55 minutes. It's cool. I'll just keep talking till we go past 55 minutes. Oh, like he's raging.
Not really, because you keep talking, so it's you that's doing it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Carney, cheers.
No bother, mate. Well done, Scotia, on your hosting debut, mate. Yes, looking forward to tomorrow now. Me and Jamie will be back tomorrow after the game, bring you a club reaction pod. But yes, let's go back to football as normal.
Yep. Cheers. Jamie, thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoyed that and very much looking forward to tomorrow. And speak to you, at least you, Scott, tomorrow.
Yep. And finally, thank you, Ryan.
Cheers, guys, and well done, everybody, for watching the press conference. Oh, sorry, Jamie. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Yep. Yeah, no, as Carney says, certainly him and Jamie will be back with you tomorrow after the game to give a reaction. I may be on. If I'm not, it means that I'm in the pub with Pearson. So we'll maybe see you tomorrow. But before I go, if I could just ask everyone to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, and leave a comment. And you can also find us on your usual social media channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Basically, spread the word if you enjoyed what you seen today, or even if you didn't, just spread the word. We do appreciate it. So that'll do us, yeah. Thanks. Speak to you all later.